There are two screws that hold the right side lower covering in place. The lower cover can be removed by pulling it toward the floor and then the rear of the car. This exposes an electrical connector for the speaker. The next step in removing the glove box section is to remove the right side panel. This can be done with a plastic wedge. The headphone plug housing can be removed by using an instrument cluster hook to release the locking tab and then pulling it out. There are 3 screws inside the glove compartment and 1 on the outside lower right hand side. There is also 1 screw on the lower left hand side. Now the glove box section can be removed by lifting it toward the rear of the car. In order to remove the left lower cover, first of all we have to take apart the hood release lever. This is held in with 1 screw and a cable. There are 3 screws that hold the lower cover to the driver's side dash section. As we lower the lower cover down, we can see 2 plug connections. The left side cover is unclipped with a wedge. For better access to the rear of the parking brake release, we're going to reposition the fuse box by loosening the screw and moving it down and out of the way. Once the fuse box is out of the way, we can reach the back of the emergency brake cable. We can release it from the housing. Once the parking brake release handle has been moved out of the way, we have access to the 1 screw holding the combination switch into place. With the screw removed, we can now reach in the side and release the lock tabs and push out the combination switch, exposing a connector, which we can release. There are several screws holding the left lower section to the dashboard. 1 is at the lower left corner. One of the screws is accessed through the space the combination switch used to occupy. There are also 2 screws along the bottom edge of the left lower section. The instrument cluster is removed using the familiar hooks. The electronic ignition switch trim ring is removed with a slotted wrench, which is a special tool. There are 3 screws underneath where the center wood trim was. also 2 screws inside the instrument cluster area. We can now remove the left side lower section by grasping it and pulling down, and then to the rear of the car. The next item for removal is the cover for the steering column adjustment. This is held on with 4 screws from inside the instrument cluster area. When the screws have been removed, pull it down and rotate it to clear the steering column. Next, we'll remove the center framing. First of all, remove the sponge so that the wires have access to be moved back. And we'll remove the 2 remaining screws. To remove the center bracing, first of all, snap off the air ducts on each side and remove them. Pull down and remove. Continuing along with the dash disassembly, the first step in taking out the center vent assembly is to remove the chrome trim rings. They're very small, very lightweight, and crack easily, so caution is required. The next step is to remove the center faceplate to have access to the screws. There are 4 screws holding the center vent assembly in. At this point, the center vent assembly can be removed by lifting it out. The center speaker grill removes by unclipping it from the dashboard with a plastic wedge. There are 4 screws that hold the dash pad upper section into the car. 2 we can see here underneath the center speaker vent. There is 1 screw on each side underneath a plastic cover. This cover is lifted up by inserting a screwdriver into a small slot and twisting. Now we can see the screw. The left side is identical to the right. There are 2 13mm socket size but 8mm bolts that are holding down the dash in the area of the steering column, and these can be removed now. Besides the screws in the center vent area, there is also 1 electrical connector. At this point, lift the dash pad up and out of the vehicle. When removing the dash pad from the vehicle, lift it up in the instrument cluster area to make sure that you clear this pin.